And hello again from my side. I'm Suzy Manaray, the Wholesale Advisor and Content Director on MEF. Next session, and to conclude the messaging topic, is I'm very happy for this to welcome Sam Barker from Juniper Research. Sam, hello. Good afternoon.
Hi, Suzy. How are you?
Hello. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us today. We have a lot of things to talk about when it comes to the future of wholesale messaging. I'm sure we really want to hear what's going on in the industry, what you see lining up, and the positive things that will shape the industry moving forward. You will be giving us a bit of an insight first with some market insights and a few slides, and then I guess you'll be joined and you'll be moderating the discussion with a few panelists. So eager to hear what you have for us, and thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Suzy. Yeah, as Suzy said, I'll just be taking you through what we can expect for the rest of the year. As an analyst house, Juniper Research looks into various elements of the wholesale market and messaging and various other elements. And I'm just going to take you through some of the insights we've got through today through some of the slides. So, as I said, yeah, what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at through, what Juniper Research has found, through our portfolio of messaging and telecommunications research in the wholesale market. So the first slide, I just want to take everybody through what we believe the current state of the market is at the moment. So what we see here is that trust in SMS, it has been declining ever so slightly over the last 18 months or so. What we're seeing is, if you can look to the graph to the right, what you'll see is, whilst we have seen a rise in the total number of A2P SMS messages delivered, what we're expecting to see is actually some form of slight decline moving forward, based on current market conditions. Obviously, the SMS market at the moment is very much in a bit of turmoil. There's quite a lot of elements that are up in the air, and there are many different strategies that we're expecting, stakeholders in the market to employ to maybe even reverse this trend. And we'll be going through those in the later slides. So at the moment, what we have is demand for SMS is we have a small number of larger enterprises demanding the majority of SMS in many different geographies, and that decline is as these larger businesses become more comfortable in using alternative channels or alternative authentication technologies. We're expecting a small decline in SMS to sort of continue over the next few years as it stands. So why is the trust in SMS going down? Well, obviously one of the main reasons is the fraud, artificially inflated traffic, or AIT, or SMS pumping, is in situations where SMS messages may or may not be delivered. There's no guarantee, and the value of SMS networks is diminishing ever so slightly. The other side that we probably need to talk about is the alternative solutions that are out there. Now, SMS has been largely unchallenged over the last 25 years or so, mainly down to its ubiquity and the fact that from an enterprise's point of view, there's guaranteed network termination. The phone number can act as the what you have part of authentication, and up until the last 2 years, SMS has worked really, really well. And it's only recently, as networks have become more software-defined, APIs and other areas, we're seeing SMS really being challenged. We've seen digital transformation projects happen, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, where this demand for authentication over digital channels is certainly increasing, because more and more users are obviously connecting to internet-based services or digital services in general, which requires this need for authentication, so to speak. So we'll talk about SMS in the wholesale messaging space, but it's not all doom and gloom. Obviously, we will also be talking about the rich media elements, the shift, so to speak, from SMS as a technology is decades old now, and that means that that many of the use cases that are typically associated with mobile messaging are going to shift over the next few years, or very imminently, actually, in terms of what enterprises will be demanding mobile messaging for. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to talk about the elements of fraud in messaging, which is the doom and gloom element after it. So obviously what we've seen is AIT impact, the quality of SMS networks, the expenditure that's needed for authenticating over SMS, and this is creating some form of a vicious cycle at the moment in mobile messaging, which is shown to the right. So fraud and high prices are tackling the SMS networks and undelivered messages, or messages that are being generated that were needed, which in turn obviously creates a cost for the enterprise demanding it. And then that in turn pushes enterprises further and further away from SMS to explore other channels. Now, whilst as I said, SMS has been around for some time, there is that great deal of familiarity with SMS. Enterprises are able to be trusting it and have confidence that the message would have been delivered, but unfortunately that's not necessarily the case now. So they go ahead and seek alternative communication channels, and prices have been raised recently to cover that shortfall. But this creates this vicious cycle, or has been over the past 18 months or so. And I think the question we need to be asking ourselves as a market is, how do we stop this cycle? What can be done to reinstill trust in SMS as a channel, reinstill trust in messaging as an ecosystem itself, and what is that going to look like over the next 2 or 3 years? So at the moment, speaking to many of the players in the market, I think the consensus really is that price rises are very unsustainable, and it's driving down demand quite quickly. So what we need to do is, as an ecosystem, is look at this from the customer's point of view, and what are they going to be doing, rather than look at it through spectacles of the telecommunications ecosystem. Their goal is obviously to create the best return on investment for authentication and the traffic. They want to be able to authenticate securely, but at the lowest cost possible. And obviously SMS has historically been the best way to do that. It's that familiarity has been a key driver of retention over the last few years. Exploring other channels is something that we can talk about all day, but the whole idea that as these networks get more advanced and other channels become available, what should stakeholders be doing to do it? We keep this trust in SMS. Well, one of the main reasons is price reductions. I think is the main concern. We're seeing quite a lot of collaboration with the price of SMS and what can be done, and price below 10 cents per message is something that we're seeing. We're seeing quite a lot of prices above that at the moment. So this idea that industry collaboration will enable that cost to the enterprises to go down, and enable more and more enterprises to continue using SMS as a functionality in the face of all these alternatives like APIs and even flash calling. Let's move away from the doom and gloom and move towards what we're expecting to happen in the future in terms of the rich media side of messaging. So obviously, I think we've all seen Apple support. I mean, I won't go into detail. I think everyone in the audience knows exactly what's happening. But at Juniper Research, we are about quantifying what we think these impacts will be. And to the right, what we've got is the global number of RCS messages delivered over the next few years, as well as going back historically. So there's been slight growth. What we saw is Google get involved with RCS, and there was obviously some big impact, but the impact from Apple is going to be even greater. Despite globally, Apple only counting between, or iOS devices, should I say, counting between 20 and 30% globally, that pushes that threshold for enterprises past the to a commercial use case. Well, I think we're going to see is as Apple enters the market, we're going to see more and more enterprises exploring the possibility of RCS. Obviously, the benefits of RCS over SMS, I will not be going into great amounts of detail. We all know that rich media and the ability for conversational AI and customer management is far greater over RCS. But as that penetration of RCS active users increases, it went over 1 billion about a year ago, we're expecting that to get bigger and bigger, and we're expecting that RCS will account for around 65% of the A2P SMS traffic from our latest forecast by 2029. And that's mainly down to two things. One, obviously, is the growth of RCS, phenomenal growth, really. And we are expecting, at the moment, a decline of SMS messaging as well, A2P SMS messaging. So we're expecting more and more support from operators over the next few years. The operator support is grown significantly over the last 5 years, and we're expecting that push to come from operators for new capable users. The other side is the one element that we want to push for a benefit over not just SMS but other channels as well is brand verification. Now, if we look at the differences between what messaging can be used for, we tend to split it into two here at Juniper: transactional and promotional. Transactional, obviously, being one-time passwords, multi-factor authentication, notifications, things like that. While the promotional side is much more marketing and upselling to current users, we think that we don't expect RCS to cannibalize SMS too much as it grows, mainly down to the split in the use cases. I think RCS is far more adept at the promotional side of things, while SMS, being a rather old and basic technology today, is more suited to the transactional nature that maybe other areas such as APIs and silent authentication, those sorts of areas, biometric authentication as well can cover. So as we move forward, expecting RCS to play a more prominent role in traffic and revenue, while SMS may lose some ground to other technologies. So one of the other technologies that I do want to very quickly talk through is obviously the authentication of the APIs. Now, this is an alternative to what SMS can handle. SMS, as you know, it's something that involves the user, while many APIs are what we can consider silent. They don't necessarily need the user's interaction, and the main sort of hindrance in these launches and uptake of these APIs at the moment is the familiarity. I think in many regions there, developments of communications APIs through frameworks like Kamara and the Open Gateway have led quite a lot of API categories to be ready for commercial deployment or already commercially deployed. And that means that the enterprises themselves are ready to uptake, but as SMS prices rise and APIs become increasingly available, we're expecting a migration of SMS traffic from the transactional use cases to be pushed towards these API use cases if they are available in the market. So looking at the growth of APIs now, on the right, we've just included some figures for what we expect for the growth of these APIs. One thing that probably is worth mentioning as well is that API markets in general have existed alongside SMS for a while, but as SMS is standardized and is very familiar and been a key use case, APIs have not had the same effect. Essentially, APIs have normally been developed for a specific client by a specific operator and have not been standardized. And what that means is you've got a lot of fragmentation during the rollout. And one API that's developed for one customer may not be applicable or desired by another customer. But these frameworks have changed that. They're now a lot more simple, targeted towards a broader audience. And what we're expecting to see is a greater demand for those moving forward. What we're expecting over the next few years is that we certainly see that there's going to be a bit of slow growth for APIs, mainly owing to the sort of development and the rollout. But as 5G networks increase, software-defined networks become, or software elements of networks that are software-defined become more prevalent. Smartphones become more comprehensive, especially in developing regions. We're expecting APIs to become more and more used, and what we see in similar fashion to the decline of SMS is these larger companies, the small number of larger companies, will take away, move away from A2P SMS and go to other channels, and you'll see large shifts country by country, over a short period of time. And this is why stakeholders in the market need to remain, incredibly, agile to these changing market conditions. We've already seen it in a few countries in Asia Pacific and Central and Eastern Europe. Some larger enterprises that are demanding large amounts of SMS traffic are now migrating in a matter of months to other channels. And it's really impacted the demand for OTP messaging, SMS messaging for OTPs and MFA, which means whilst that trend has started, there is definitely still time, because there are still issues with these APIs that SMS doesn't have. For example, if a smartphone is connected via Wi-Fi, it can't actually access the MSISDN to authenticate, which is obviously a big hindrance. But then when you look at different channels and different areas, what you also see is more and more. For example, if we take the example of banking and finance, where regulation is really top of the list, in terms of priorities, making sure that these APIs are able to provide what they need, can in some instances lower the cost, and will be able to provide those enterprises with a better return on investment in terms of what they can accomplish in the authentication space. And the other side that we think is going to have a big impact over the next 6 months or so, as we are essentially halfway through the year now, is conversational AI. Now, what's interesting about conversational AI, Juniper Research have been following this for a number of years now. We've seen many different iterations, many different approaches to how to implement conversational AI. What are the best technologies? What are the best strategies? Which sectors are going to be the most going to experience the most demand for it? And what we've seen is, like many different areas, is slow uptake amongst certain sectors in terms of implementing it within their omni-channel strategies. But there has been quite a few market movements over the last year, 2 years or so, in terms of the technologies that are available. And obviously one of those is the large language models. ChatGPT or Perplexity AI is their technology, their services now that are beyond just offering to the consumer and moving towards the B2B space. I'm sure you've seen the announcement from Apple that they will be using ChatGPT for their voice assistant Siri. What that means is, you have the option of using Siri if the request is too complicated. You will get the option to use a large language model instead, which is a completely different approach to what conversational AI has often been about. And we're expecting more and more of these players in the market, not just operators, but mainly the messaging vendors, the CPaaS platforms, to start integrating these services directly within all of their rich media messaging solutions. But we'll take RCS as a key example here. what we're expecting is more and more of these RCS channels, clients, to leverage large language models on a daily basis for customer interactions, rather than just preloaded or scripted responses. Really leveraging not just leveraging the complexity of an AI-based solution, but also leveraging the wealth of data that the large language models have been fed into. So there are going to be a few key use cases for these large language models. Obviously, retail is one we want to talk a lot about. Is a sector that we're seeing the most interest in. Speaking to these vendors over the last 6 months to a year, many of them have come to us and said that retail is the one that has been seen the most interest from. Looking at the various different use cases that retail can have, it's certainly something that we expect to see a lot of traffic over large language models, and having that impact from the omni-channel aspect, because retail is really the one where retail is the sector where the focus on omni-channel is the most intense. The ability for retailers to allow their customers and potential customers to purchase through various different channels, and most importantly, having all that information stored centrally. So regardless of which channel you're on, the large language model is able to move forward. And obviously, banking being another key sector, obviously legislation will be a key sector for that as well. So what do we expect? Just very quickly go over where we expect this to be. So the growth of conversational AI, various different channels is going to grow, and it's to be the integration of the data over the across those different channels, RCS, and obviously others like maybe OTT messaging or even email will be interesting. And obviously mobile channels are going to play a huge role in this. And it's up to the operators and the messaging vendors to be able to integrate these services as early as possible as enterprises look to integrate omni-channel solutions into their operations. That's all the slides I have for now. I think if we move forward, we can progress with some of my my colleagues in the market who can have a conversation about what they're expecting from messaging over the next 6 months.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, guys. Let's just do a quick bit of introductions. So joining me today is Asad Khan, Head of Global Pre-Sales at Telarix. I'm not sure if you'd like to introduce yourself, Asad.
Pretty much covered, yeah. Thank you so much for bringing to this panel discussion.
Brilliant. And I've also got Igor, Senior Business Development Manager at Lanck. Hi, Igor. How are you?
Hello, Sam. Always a pleasure seeing you.
It's good to see you again. It's good to see you again. I think we're waiting on one more, but there's a bit of technology issues at the moment. But I think what we'll do is we'll start with the panel and what's going on. So thanks for joining me, guys. What we're hoping to do today is, I think people are probably already a bit tired of hearing just from me at this point. So we're going to open up the floor to you guys. You guys have your ears a lot closer to the ground than I do, so to speak. And we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So I've talked a little bit about what the current state of the market is at the moment, but from you guys, starting with you, Asad, how would you describe the current state of the wholesale messaging market today?
I think there are two angles to describe the current status of the wholesale market today. I see it more for the regional point of view. So you mentioned earlier about the termination rate, really important point. So we know some regions where we have very, very high termination rates, whereas others who are struggling on the termination rate and not even having an impactable revenue in the messaging domain. So that's on the regional side of the status. On the global level, we see that naturally, as you mentioned, there is an impact on the global messaging traffic, and it's obviously because of the high price points. It's because of the fraud risk, the artificial inflated traffic, which we are seeing, and then very important part is because of the alternative channels growth, like WhatsApp, Vibers of the world, right? So they really impact the market currently and the state of the market. But at the same time, I believe that with all these challenges, the wholesale market is still on the track of a growth. We are seeing a bit dip. I saw on your slide as well, which is there. But I think there are always the area with such dips where the adoption with the new technologies like RCS, the 5G impact rollout or the OTT service along with RCS, and then bringing the AI and automation, I think are the areas on the current state of market with not only the MNOs, but also the vendor side are looking into, because still, I think we all believe that SMS still is the trusted and the most reliable channel for both enterprise and the end subscribers.
Perfect. Igor, I'm not sure if you agree.
I totally agree that SMS is still kind of the king of all channels. It's the most reliable, and one of the things that make SMS so great is that it's a regulated channel with a sustained supply chain, with the rules being there for decades now, and with all the people in the supply chain affected if something goes wrong. So all the parties, like the operators, are interested in keeping the channel clean. The transit carriers like us are also very, very interested to maintaining the play field is even. This is one of the things that I cannot say sadly about OTTs. It's a proprietary channel. It's an unregulated channel usually, and we see that in multiple scams that sadly are taking over telecom field. The fraudsters, especially those that target senior citizens or those that target individual users that are trying to embezzle their bank accounts, etc., they are jumping into OTTs the first chance they have, and this is one of the features of the market. Surely we see that enterprises are trying to save some costs on authentication and on marketing and getting the messages through OTTs sometimes. But making sure that the retail users, the end users, know that this could be an official channel of communication will increase the dangers of fraud, which is we understand how the market is working, and sometimes, the world moves one way, people go another, and we understand the reasons behind it. It's just that for anything significant, for anything kind of sensitive, especially financial information, we highly recommend staying with the operator control channels like SMS, network APIs that they talk about, and RCS is essentially also an operator channel. So we very much look forward to make sure that the operator channels are still being primary.
Perfect. Dana, thank you very much for joining us. We've just got to the first question, which is how would you describe the state of the wholesale messaging market today? I mean, looking at what's happening there, I don't think there's been so much disruption to SMS in the last 18 months than since I've been following the market. I'm just wondering, from yours, it's so much fraud, and where do you see the market? Have you seen any strategies that have proven effective in mitigating this fraud?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sam. Thank you for having me today at this panel. So I'm presenting Monty Mobile. Back to your question. Nowadays, actually, if I want to compare Q3 and Q4 of 2023, where we were facing a huge spike increase of the traffic and high levels of fraud, which is the AIT, which was diminishing the value of the SMS. So if you want to compare Q3 and Q4 of 2023 to Q1 and Q2 of this year, 2024, we would actually say that the market is regulating back to its normal average. Now, definitely some enterprises started seeking some channels like the RCS and the WhatsApp, but we would see that the SMS is definitely back on its average, and a lot of fraud traffic was eliminated.
Okay, very good. I think more and more than ever, the market's been monitoring traffic for the various different elements that we're moving forward. But Asad, I've talked briefly about SMS and RCS. I'm looking forward to the next 6 months. We have a bit of doom and gloom with SMS, as Dana said. Our forecasts, are based on previous numbers. It'd be great to get some your views on what's happened very recently. And I've also talked about the future forward stuff, the RCS and the rich media, and what that could be in terms of an opportunity. But how do you see, Asad, those two elements growing together, or evolving together, RCS and SMS?
I think it's a very, very good point. I think that's the key thing for everyone in the industry to realize, right? Sometimes we are really scared doing a very good A2P SMS business and getting RCS into the industry, scared to death how that would impact my SMS thing. In my opinion, I think RCS will keep its gradual growth in the messaging industry. As you mentioned in your slide, fully agree on that. I think SMS will have its own area. There may be some small overlaps between SMS and RCS. SMS, I think, will continue to play its role due to its simplicity and the omnipresence in the industry, whereas RCS, I believe, has all the right recipe to become the preferred communication model for the businesses, like seeking the richer and the more interactive experiences. So in general, I feel that it's a lot on the RCS from the adoption point of view. And we talked about adoption. It's about how the users early adopt the RCS service, right? So I think that will be the key part of RCS. But I think no one in the industry should worry about big impact between RCS and SMS A2P. There will be overlaps, but I think they both would have their own part of the rules.
Do you think, playing devil's advocate just a little bit, that this announcement from Apple, let's be honest, it's happened quite quickly within a year. Do you think that the strategy for implementing RCS has changed as dramatically as it was a year ago? Now Apple are involved.
It does. I was actually, I would take a support of one of my presentation I was doing, I think last year, when Apple was not on board and Google was pretty much there. And one of the questions being asked was, okay, we all believe in RCS, but until Apple is not on board, we do not think it would fly the way everyone thinks about it, right? But now I think with Apple, and I meet with a lot of carriers globally, it varies from, as I mentioned, from region to region. I feel the carriers that I may know feel much more confident about RCS with Apple engaging into that. Still, I believe it will take its own time. I think everyone is analyzing some regions, like we talk about South Americans, we talk about India, some other countries, like they're really big already into RCS side, right? And Apple is just going to add value to what they're doing. To summarize, I think surely it has advanced some steps with the carriers, having a trust on RCS with Apple engagement.
Perfect. And just talking about RCS and the opportunities there, Daniel, if I could just ask you, what are the monetization strategies for RCS beyond the simple messaging element? How do you consider things like rich media, chatbots, interactive services? Is this something that will change the approach to monetizing messaging?
Okay, honestly, companies like Monty Mobile and some others, they have developed their own omni-channels to help monetize the RCS, to better engage basically the enterprise, to help the enterprise engage better with the user. So basically, whoever is the enterprise, whether it's a bank, it's an agency, it's a delivery application, it's a shopping app, and whoever the end user is, there is a unified channel, as Asad already mentioned, which is the omni-channel, in which the user can easily go through it. So I'm going to give you an example. I myself, I'm a frequent visitor for Zara, the shopping app, right? So traditionally, the SMS Zara, whenever they used to have a campaign, they used to send a promo campaign through SMS. Now, Zara, they are able to track my activity through the application I have, right? So they are able to track whenever I order something, what I like, what I dislike, whenever I add something to the cart, whenever I remove. So Zara is now able to engage more. So the level of engagement wasn't available before. and is able now to give me on WhatsApp, for example, Dana, your top item is available today on sale. We suggest you take a look on the price. So before that, traditionally, this wasn't available. So being now WhatsApp being one type of RCS channel, I would say, that the engagement level is going to be different, honestly.
And Igor, similar question to you. I mean, RCS provides so much more opportunity. I mean, SMS as a technology hasn't developed at all since its inception, but it is very, very effective. But with RCS, much more to consider. What do you think in terms of the future of monetizing it and how to maximize the return on investment?
Well, I think, and the tactic that we employ in developing our RCS is make it as simple as possible for our partners, for end users. If they would like to start off small and deliver one-time passwords just to be familiar with the channel, just to see how it goes, just to create the profile for the system, and frankly, sometimes the operators give you financial incentives of using RCS instead of SMS. So it's very, very easy approach, and it makes it makes it an evolutionary approach, not revolutionary approach. We don't have to take large risks, and we understand how is it going. We can monitor the small volumes that we once had, and to fix the small errors and learn as we go. And now that the users sometimes are familiar in getting OTPs, they will know what's going on when the brand will reach them through RCS channel with something else, with a conversational AI employed, with several functionalities, and perhaps someday they will be using RCS chatbots more frequently. They're using a standalone apps because using the application that means huge expenses for the brand, for creation of application, for maintenance, etc. And perhaps an RCS chatbot that could be hundreds of times cheaper to develop and maintain could be the way to go for smaller brands that don't have the millions and tens of millions of dollars at their disposal.
So just because we're thinking interested in the time here, we just want a few closing statements from you guys. I mean, the question, I'll keep it as simple as possible. What are your predictions for the rest of 2024 in the wholesale messaging market? I'll start with you, Asad.
Sure. I feel MNOs are taking much more control of their SMS, of their messaging traffic, starting for SMS A2P. So I think it will improve from the user experience point of view in next 6 months. We are seeing a lot of such deployments, and that's why my statement is not based on just generic thing. It's based on mostly how the market is moving, how the carriers are deploying their own solution rather than leaving it for others to take care of the SMS traffic. RCS, I think that's another area which I would like to comment. I think it will gradually grow. I do not see a major change in 2024 for RCS. It would take its time, and I feel even confident looking into your graph earlier. Did not know that yeah, that's how we feel, and that's how your graph showed in next 5 years, 4 years, the growth of it. That's exactly how we're seeing as well. SMS having, I think, a better next 6 months versus RCS growing gradually in next 2-3 years.
Great to hear. And Dana, what are your predictions for the next 6 months?
So actually, I agree with Asad. And to conclude here, we would say that we don't see any further drop in the SMS in the rest of 2024, but we see that the volumes will remain stable, actually. Reason being, again, is the reachability of the SMS, of the messaging channel. As we see, it remains number one, actually. And to prove this point, that if you see now all enterprises and aggregators are using SMS as a backup of when they are requesting an OTP. But this is not to eliminate actually the growth of the RCS channel. And that's why, as Monty, we started, winning some traffic over the RCS and WhatsApp channel. Very importantly, to end this, to tell you, in order to maintain the growth of this messaging, we, the ecosystem, all of us, the operators, the enterprises, the aggregators, should work hand in hand together to fight and eliminate the AIT, so that the prices will stabilize itself and go back to normal.
Perfect. And Igor, very, very quickly, what do you think is going to happen through to the end of the year?
Sure. I mean, I agree with Asad and Dana. We will gradually decrease the dangers of AIT. We will grow the channels that we have. And even though OTTs are here to stay, we think that still the future belongs to operator channels.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you very much for your insights. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much to all of you. It's been a great insight into what comes up over in the next 6 months. Thank you, Sam, very much for this very insightful market data. Thank you, Igor, Asad, and Dana. Sorry for the bit of a glitch at the very beginning, but it was great to have you all here. We'll be watching what's going on over the next 6 months, and certainly ready to talk about this again in 6 months, hopefully in one of our upcoming events. And once again, a warm thank you to you all, and a warm thank you for Juniper for sponsoring this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.